great. As she said, my name's Calen Holbrooks at Airtable. Flew in from Seattle last night, so I don't know if there's any other Pacific Northwesterners who are hot outside and cold inside. But I am really excited to talk to you today about building actual practical AI workflows. I was actually kind of giddy during Alyssa's session this morning because I don't think we could have been more aligned, had a better tee up to what I'm going to talk about in terms of taking that a level deeper and actually getting into the how and showing you how you can actually build these things to have the types of outcomes she talked about. So first, what is Airtable? I'm assuming not everybody is familiar with Airtable. Airtable is an AI app development platform. And if you don't know what that means, it's basically a platform for anyone like yourselves, anyone that's not a developer and engineer, to build business applications. We've been around for over a decade, taking relational databases, essentially taking all of your data from your business and building automated workflows, building interfaces, building field agents and AI agents on top of it. And we are trusted by over 500,000 organizations globally, including 80% of the Fortune 100. So we really feel like our mission that we've been on for the last decade of democratizing software creation is like, this is our era with AI, because it's just speeding that up and bringing in even more people to build within Airtable. We see a lot, marketing is probably one of our top users, marketing and product teams, which is why we're here today to talk to you about this. And then we also see a lot of success within retail, CPG, media and entertainment, technology companies, and financial services. So that's a little bit about Airtable, and you'll get to see it in action in terms of how we build our AI workflows here in a minute. My goal today is to get us out of just talking about the theory and saying we need to do these things with AI, and actually getting us to understand where and when we should be applying this and how to do that, who on our teams can start to do this, and get everyone in this room starting to explore real, organic-wide use cases of AI. But I do need to probably start with a little bit of theory just to kind of ground us in what we're talking about today. So as Alyssa talked about this morning, and as I think we all know, things are changing really, really fast. It's really, really hard for us to just use LinkedIn or TikTok or podcasts to stay up to date on what is happening, what those trends are, and what the different movements are in the market. We have to get hands-on with this, and we have to experience it for ourselves. I think more than any other transformation we've been through, AI is putting that at the leadership level on down to the IC level. So it is up to us and looking at our own career trajectories and our own career impact to make sure we are getting hands-on with AI. And what's challenging is obviously the models are getting a lot smarter. Over 5 times more intelligent in the last few years, as each model is getting improvements with each version getting sent out. And it's getting much more cost effective. I actually think about, what it used to cost to buy a flat screen TV was like a small mortgage, and now they're everywhere, right? Like that was a crazy cost efficiency acceleration. This is 100 times that. We're seeing so much cost efficiencies that's making AI much more accessible to every different organization. And what's really exciting is the adoption. 4 times faster than desktop internet was adopted, however many decades ago that was, which is really exciting and a little bit scary if you think about how much this is adopting at speed, where if we're not enabled and adapting with it, we're gonna get left behind. Hopefully that was more inspiration than scaring you. But so what has AI looked like for marketing so far and since 2022? Well, we've been in this really fun era of chatbots and content proliferation. It's been fun, but also a little chaotic. I'd say, the amount of SEO blogs and social posts and all these things is really, really impressive, the scale that we've been able to get out. But we're also in this kind of questioning some of the quality, questioning how we differentiate ourselves if everyone has access to this data and these tools. And so really it's kind of in our moment to think beyond the chatbot. And trust me, I love my AI chatbots. They are front and center on my phone, probably one of the most used apps on my phone these days. It's revolutionizing how I do everything from, creating bedtime stories for my kids, planning spring break trips, to how I'm running the marketing team and running internal communications, strategizing on our next campaigns. It's great. However, I think we're at this pivotal moment, this prove it moment, to say, how do we get out of siloed chats where we're each individually doing this and into this concept of what we call runtime AI. This is AI that is, we were talking about a little bit this morning, it's running and working on your behalf. It is part of your team. It is making decisions, it is taking actions, and it's built into your data and built into the existing way you do your business. Not a siloed one-off tool, but actually built into the way you're running your business. Runtime AI. But I think, I think Alyssa had some slightly different stats on there this morning. I'm sure there's lots of different ways to slice and dice this. But I think we're still in this transition and work in progress. Like I said, we work with thousands of marketing teams, and we're seeing this was actually from a 2025 State of Marketing and AI report, but I think we're seeing this too with our customers. About half of them are exploring, experimenting, piloting, have a single use case somewhere within their organization, which is great. And honestly, that's probably better than our friends over in finance and sales and HR and stuff, right? But I think that there's still so much room for improvement. And marketers, I'm biased, but I think we've always been at the forefront of technology, those early adopters, the ones to think creatively around how to use these tools. So I definitely think it's our time, and we're usually the ones that should be leading that charge. However, only about 14% of organizations actually have that scaled org-wide and built into that sort of runtime AI concept. So the opportunity is huge. We're not behind yet, but we have a lot of room to make up. And I think, being here, learning about this is a good first step. But next, it's about getting hands-on and starting to experiment and actually build. So what's getting in the way? You're probably thinking of things right now that you're kind of like, yes, Calen, but, right? All these different examples. What we've seen in working with our customers is there's 4 primary blockers. The first is just identifying where to start. What's the use case? What's going to have the most impact? What can my team actually build? I don't have budget to go out and hire somebody to go do this, or what tools that I have. Identifying that use case is easily the first blocker we see with customers, and that's definitely what we'll spend some time on today. The next is access to context. So if you're running these things within different tools, within ChatGPT or whatever it might be, a lot of times that's missing your business context, which is going to make your AI output so much more aligned to your business and more intelligent. You need this where it's your data, your documents, your business information is what has to be fed in there. And we were talking earlier about privacy and governance and the ethics of that. But really, that's the hurdle, right? You can't trust the output unless it has the context. And the third one is there's a lot of enterprise organizations, I think, in the room, is how we do this at scale. You might be running tens to hundreds and thousands of campaigns or programs every year. And so yes, using AI to do one thing is cool and special, but how do you actually get that across your entire organization and everything you're doing? And the last is verifying that results. You need to see it to believe it. You need to be able to trust the output. You need to be able to know that I trust this agent is going to make the decisions I would make, take the actions I would take, or not even you, maybe your best employee, right? And that's where we have to start actually doing to verify we see that, which ties back into identifying the right use cases to start. Okay. That was my theory. So I think we can move on to some real life workflows. So what I'm going to show you is what Airtable calls our AI plays. These are essentially apps, workflows, use cases within marketing that we're seeing the most success from our companies, from our customers. I will share a QR code at the very end where you can go and access all of these AI plays with how-to videos and the actual apps and templates themselves. But you will also be able to go chat with our guys at the booth in the room next door where we had lunch. And they're intimately familiar with all these as well. Okay. The first one is campaign concept generation. Again, Alyssa talked about this this morning and how this kind of bringing your ideas to life. Marketers are using AI in Airtable to not only take the idea and bring it to life, but actually get feedback, provide tactical input, and actually creating the production-ready assets. As a demand gen marketer, I love this because I don't know how to use Figma and Photoshop and all of that stuff, right? That's not who I am. But I can have my idea and not write it in a long brief, but actually see and share and show my leadership and show my creative team, what I'm thinking and what I'm envisioning. Okay, I'm gonna try to run this video. And it's a demo video, but I can't pause it. So we're gonna try to power through, so stay with me, okay? But this is an example of people using Airtable to really show off what could be for a shoe campaign. So you might start normally with a really long brief that maybe somebody hasn't always read or gets misinterpreted, and that can just proliferate down the line. In Airtable and AI, you start with a simple description of what you want, start inputting those documents, maybe it's call recordings, it's even chat scripts, things like that, and automatically agents are summarizing your campaign, identifying your target audience, doing some additional research, and then can actually generate tactics and ideas for you. So you can sort through those. But maybe you saw the severance pop up in Grand Central Station, and you're like, we should do something like that. Just ask Airtable AI to do that, and it will weave in a similar tactic right into your campaign summary. Okay, now we've got some direction and some tactics. Now you need the design. What is the style? What's the look and feel of this campaign? Explain what you want. Airtable will give you options, give you visual examples of what this could look like as a vintage poster or an 80s neon theme or whatever that might be. Then you start to run, and the AI connects your strategy, the tactics you've aligned, your look and feel, to give you real life examples in context of what your campaign can look like. This is all done by somebody without code, without building their own tools, without using any of the creative tools, but actually being able to bring your campaign to life in minutes. This has been just honestly fun to play around with, obviously, but it has also really just sparked the creativity on our side and with a lot of our customers by being able to play and iterate and feedback in real time. Okay, the next one. Anyone here ever planned an event? Great, most of us. Or you've at least attended one because we're all here. This event management is really, I would say, the kind of the gateway drug into Airtable and how you use AI, because at its basic form, it's essentially data enrichment, and how do you pull data from the web at scale to enrich who you're inviting, venues you might be exploring, creating briefs for your internal teams. It's probably the use case we've been using internally the longest, and our teams can be sort of most hands-on with it. So let's take a look. So event marketers are using this from everything from, who are you inviting and how do you invite them, personalized insights, to also researching venues, times, and locations. You can start by just adding in your initial target list. You can either plop it in from a CSV, connect it into your Salesforce or your data warehouse instance, and automatically agents start running, looking up recent news, looking up and validating seniority, titles, industry, company, all of that. Now, obviously, we use some, I don't know if you can see that, but some pretty common named people to make that make sense from a privacy standpoint. But then it generates a personalized email that you can then validate and look at what context it brought in from recent news and other things that they might have. Great. Now you can say, ask Omni. Omni is our embedded chat assistant within Airtable. You can ask Omni to say, can you find 100 more people that look like these profiles? And we'll automatically pull those in and run that same analysis and do that same output of a personalized invite within the app. Great. Now you have your target account list. Let's look at venues. Again, you can type in, here's what I'm looking for, and it will identify your top 10, 15 venues that might be of an option, and not only pull in an image of what that could look like, but also give you capacity, give you costs and amenities it might have, and give recommendations of your venue based off of your event strategy, saving countless hours. We've had contractors that are doing that and that we're paying separate money for, that you can do within minutes and come with a very, very well recommendation to get approved. Anybody wish they had this at some point in their past? Awesome. Okay, the next one is voice of customer. So this means customer feedback. We all have a ton of customer feedback. I think there's a lot of B2C organizations in the room that probably have even more, from product reviews online, even B2B organizations. We have call transcripts, we have third-party review sites, things like that. What do you do with it? How are you actually ingesting that into your marketing strategy, messaging, campaigns over time? Anybody today can take an exported CSV or take some data, put it into ChatGPT and ask for a summary. That's great. I think that is helping us synthesize and understand some moment in time insights of what's happening. The real unlock is when you can change that into structured data that is tagged, categorized themes, provided recommended actions, trend analysis, visual analysis, and having that as a live data feed over time to recommend those things. Where we also see really good value is having your product team using the same feedback. So we're using that application together to say, okay, these customers are talking about this, here's how we change our messaging and positioning, and here's what we're adding to the product roadmap. So let's take a look at what this one looks like. So we're gonna start with a CSV that we put in, and we're gonna ask it to summarize, tag, and orchestrate or organize all of our data. We'll ask it to build some dashboards with some sentiment analysis and things like that. So you start with the CSV and then you ask it to go. You can create your own categories, or you can ask AI to create those tags yourself. It will start putting where the source is. It will say if it's negative, if it's positive, if it's neutral, and then actually create these themes. You can have it align to your own value pillars as a marketing organization, your brand pillars, and identify where there is misalignment between your brand and what the customers are saying. We're actually going to, I think we're doing it here, I don't know if you can see that, we're gonna ask it to assess the website. So this example specifically is with our customer West Elm as a retail brand. So we put in the website and said, assess the customer feedback to what we have on the website. And what it's outputting is specific by product feedback of where we have descriptions, where we have different positioning compared to the customer feedback, making it super, super actionable that day at scale. That is something that would take hours and hours and hours to actually go and align with which products you have, especially in consumer brands. Then you also have what your leadership team might want to see, which is how are we moving this and trending this over time with the visuals and the dashboards. This is all in an app that we literally had somebody internally build in less than a week who doesn't know how to code. And now all of our marketing teams and all of our product teams are using this to ingest our feedback. Okay, second to last one, localization. Obviously localization, translations is like a hotbed for AI, right? I think we're already seeing that a lot. The power of some of these like voiceover AI tools is pretty insane to me, and it's been really, really fun to explore and experiment here. But I think we can take that to another level. It's not just translation. It's about creating assets and creating campaigns that don't feel foreign. They feel like they were created in your geo. Even if it's in English, but it's in London, like we understand the differences of where that might be compared to in America. So doing this at scale and across multiple languages and multiple assets at the same time is where we really get the unlock. So we're gonna start with a single asset. We're gonna start with a single asset that is from a campaign. Then we're gonna go in and we're gonna select, what are the different languages or markets that we're going to deploy this product to. And so here's our single asset, great. We're gonna deploy across what those different markets we wanna go into. Then we have AI agents that are actually going to run and extract tags and insights from the asset itself, do an analysis for the cultural norms and language barriers and idioms or any sort of phrases that people actually use that it could translate into, and kind of give a recommendation. So it's recommending for the next agent to then go run and actually do the transcreation. And this is definitely where the magic happens, where we can see these agents running real time against all these different assets from one campaign. So my Facebook ad, my Instagram ad, my TikTok ads, my display ads, whatever it might be, and creating all of them across different languages and different cultures in real time. We can then look through, we can validate, we can provide feedback to the AI, we can adjust the prompts, we can make this continually more intelligent by giving that feedback, but also having that all stored in one place quickly. This one, I love this play. It also pains me for how much time and money I have spent in the past on localization for how easy it is now. And I feel like future generations will just never know what that pain was. Okay. Last but certainly not least is a brand compliance tracker, which I think is like the least sexy word for something that is so core to what we need for brand consistency and proliferating our brand across the globe. This was another use case we talked about this morning. I think it was Nestle's example from Alyssa. But this is basically, how do you control, maybe control is not the right word, how do you monitor your partners and your agencies, even your team members, on what they're creating with your brand? And how do you do that at scale without requiring tons of hours? So we're seeing brand marketers around the globe using this to get that early signal from AI on what's misaligned and what is aligned. And some things might be obvious, right? You have like a cramped logo over here, or this is a totally wrong color, or something like that. But there also could be things like, the vibes of that photo just don't match the vibes of what our brand is, right? And AI can actually detect that and provide examples that might be better suited to fit your brand. And then again, the theme here is at scale, right? It's not one-off. You didn't do this for one asset. You have it running across all of these different assets that you keep within like sort of a digital asset management system that can then flag, notify you when something is out of brand compliance. And not only say it's out of it, give you those suggestions and give you alternatives. This is a huge unlock for us where, as I was talking about in the beginning, I think we use AI today to create content, but how is it verifying it and how are we creating it as our own and creating it in our own languages and making sure that it's aligned to our brand and at scale? All right, those were our top 5 marketing AI plays. There is more where that came from. Our team is constantly working on building where we're seeing the most impact and the most efficiencies gained and the most output produced, and to creating more plays. So we've got about 10 to 15 total out on the website right now that you can go to at this QR code. From there, you will get in each quote-unquote AI play is like a demo video like you saw today. You'll get the actual app. So the template app that you saw, you can download and start to play with and put some of your own data in, or just explore what it looks like to do creative concept generation. You'll have a 10 to 15 minute walkthrough video that actually tells you how to build that from scratch and highlights sort of what are the AI jobs to be done within this workflow. Like what agents are we building, which I think really helps you understand what you're trying to go accomplish with this. But again, I will plug our booth next door too if you want to get a little bit more granular on what this could mean for your organization or further questions. But I also do have a few minutes for questions today. So thank you. Any questions? Yes.
I've got a...
I can hear her and repeat it too, but...
Thank you for sharing. When you say that an asset is then provided, like let's say that it doesn't pass the brand compliance, in what formats? And then is your team able then to edit that asset in whatever tool, Figma, Canva, Adobe?
Yeah, great question. So the actual workflow within sort of the brand compliance tracker is today we do images and GIFs, so like motion. I don't think we do video. I would need to verify that. But I don't think we do video yet. I believe it's on the roadmap, where then it will say, okay, where does this fit in, if it's in or out of compliance? You can ask Omni or ask the AI to create another version, or yes, you flag that then and your team can go create it offline and then just drop the new asset back in and rerun the agent. So you can set it to have your agents run automatically whenever there's a new asset, or even just monitoring, as you go. Does that answer your question? Awesome. There was somebody else right back here. Same question. Any other questions?
So this is great. So many ideas about how we could leverage a tool like this. For the localization, I'm curious how much like human element at the end. So you come up, the translations, et cetera. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Like human checking it in hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably with your own comfort level, but we definitely still have an in-region person kind of glance over that. Since running it through Airtable, we felt pretty confident in where that is. It's really about some of that prompting and the more guidance that you give it, which again comes back to the business context, telling it what to do, what not to do, your brand, voice, and tone, all being fed in there is going to provide that better output. But I don't know that I'm personally there yet to be like, nobody look at it, just go, So it is at least a reviewing.
As a follow-on to that,
Yeah.
is there an opportunity then to have whoever's reviewing it then train, the algorithm so that way that same mistake doesn't happen again and eventually get smart enough that you feel more comfortable and more comfortable?
Yes, that's exactly it. Is you have to continue to make it more intelligent by giving that feedback. Another one of these workflows that we do is our sales team has an app that does obviously all the same kind of AI enrichment, brings in these insights and gives personalized outreach emails. Well, we have 2 different agents that it can further give comments to in that workflow. So we can say, oh, this was so off, you should never use this word, or don't, yada, yada, yada. But then it can also personalize it for their tone. So it's it's a my agent. And so it can say I would never say this, or yada, yada, yada. So you have to build that in where it's essentially just another agent saying, hey, go edit this prompt, go do this, to make it better. But it's a really good call out as that's where the value is having this, again, runtime. It's not in a one-off chat that's gonna get lost over here. It's in a space that you're collaborating on with your team and that everyone can benefit from the way you're building these prompts and these agents. Oh, all the way in the back.
I'm sorry, I came in a little late, but
All good.
in terms of actually inputting the content, going back to the brand compliance side of things, is it going out and looking at the content in real life and then providing a brand compliance, like if you had every Ben and Jerry's that was putting out a Facebook ad, is it going out and actually capturing that and then making an evaluation, or is this living off of an asset management tool and creating content along the way?
Great question and distinction. It's both. Obviously, a lot of times you want your brand compliance to be tracked before it goes live. So definitely having that asset management where in Airtable you can have all the different file types natively built in there so it can run the agents on that. Otherwise, to do it where it's an externally, and in your example of go monitor every Facebook post of every Ben and Jerry's franchise, you would have to build an agent, what we call field agents, to do that. So you would ask it to say, you're a brand compliance manager, go monitor every Ben and Jerry's Facebook ad, give some examples, guide it through that, and then that's an agent that would just run. So you could kind of, if it were me, I would build it out and say okay, here's my Facebook tracker, here's my website tracker, here's my whatever. Yeah, you can do it both together. I see a follow-up question coming.
So you're ingesting the data that's coming from the AI agent into Airtable, and then Airtable is making the analysis of the 800 Ben and Jerry's ads.
Yeah, it's basically what we call it is it's web search. So each field could go out and search the web at the same time. So you would search it to find the ads, and then you would have an agent that would say, okay, based off of the output of that one, assess those. Does that make sense?
Understood. Thank you.
Cool. Maybe one more question. Anybody? Awesome. Okay, can I take a quick informal data poll? Out of those 5 AI plays, raise your hand if this was, when I say the one that was most interesting to you. Sounds like maybe brand compliance. Oh, okay, a few, yeah. What about localization? Yep. Event management? My event marketer raises her hand. What am I missing? Voice of customer, feedback analysis. Okay, some people are voting twice. That's throwing off my data. Okay, and last but not least, my favorite, which is campaign concept generator. All right, cool, awesome. Well, again, check it out. You can find me. I'll head out to our booth too, and we can chat more. But thanks, everybody.